Welcome back to the 5-Star Talk podcast with JayBee and Millie.
Hi guys.
So we have a special guest with us today. It's HarleyQ from HarleyQ's Playtime back with us in the podcast.
Hello. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's really good to have you back. Like it's felt like so long since that first episode because I think this was one of the first shows that we tried to do on a weekly basis. So it's kind of mind blowing that the next time it's time for an episode to come out, it's just been a week. So it's kind of weird. I don't know. It just makes time seem like it's going really quick.
It does.
Yeah, because I think we did it back in the beginning of August, and it's like, wow, we're in October. Like, time is flying.
Like it's felt like no time at all. Like next thing you know, it's time to release another episode. And
Next time it'll be the Christmas special.
oh gosh. That'd be so fun, because one thing that I love doing that I didn't anticipate is just decorating the studio to kind of fit whatever vibe there is of the season. And so
I'm loving it though.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
It feels all spooky. It's amazing. I can't wait to get it done over for Christmas because I've just got so many plans. It's gonna be like the most festive looking podcast in the whole of YouTube.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
So we were really excited to have you on the podcast today because we feel like, as you are, you collect games, you play them, you're really up on gaming. And, predominantly that's what you look at with your YouTube and everything. And we just feel like a lot's changing in terms of Nintendo at the minute that would be really interesting to explore with you a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely. Nintendo is just a company that there's always something going on with them. And they're always the odd man out in the best way though.
Yeah, they don't really chase trends. I think they tried to make sure that they were the people with the most powerful system back when I guess they were competing with Xbox and PlayStation. But then I think it was the Wii, which is the first one where they thought, okay, well, we know we're not going to make the most powerful system, but let's kind of fit into a niche where we're our own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably around that era, especially when the Wii, the Wii U, that's when they were just like, you know what, forget it. We're not even going to try and release the same system. Because Xbox and PlayStation are always competing. They're releasing within the same time frame. And then the Switch came out at left field and just totally brought Nintendo on their whole own track. And then they realized that they can survive out of that market of those two other systems, of those two other companies.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually better for them. The Wii kind of showed that Nintendo, I mean, it was already always known that Nintendo was a family, but it was that was definitely the system that showed that this is the system that you get when you have smaller children or families and incorporating people together. So they've always been the multiplayer company, but definitely.
Yeah, it definitely is a family aspect. I remember when the Wii came out and seeing all the adverts on TV, and it was always a family playing together. It is very family orientated. And as well, JayBee said that they don't follow a trend. I feel it's because they kind of set the trend a bit. If you look at things like Xbox Connect, I feel like other people try and latch onto Nintendo a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you have the whole, they've always tried to catch the things that Nintendo tried to do, the Kinect and the PlayStation Move. They were reacting to the whole motion controls that Nintendo made with the nunchucks and things like that. So they tried to market off of that, but it was already too late. Nintendo had done it, and they had pretty much got everything, and it was actually more affordable to have a Wii than it was to have, because the Wii, the whole system, everything with the motion came together, as opposed to the Kinect where you had to buy the Kinect sensor for your 360 or Xbox One. And the same thing with the PlayStation. Even I would love to have a PlayStation VR, but I refuse to pay that much extra money for it. I wish it was a little bit more affordable. And the thing is, the PlayStation 4 that I have now, I wouldn't actually be able to even play off of it because I don't think I have the right... It's a very demanding VR for the system, so I think you have to get the newer model. I think I have the first edition of it, but yeah, it's they're always trying to catch up with Nintendo afterwards, and Nintendo just holds the market. You can't stop Nintendo, and that's a great thing.
It is.
They have so many. I kind of mentioned this in my, not to plug my own channel, I kind of mentioned this with the GameCube video I did recently, where the reason why Nintendo's games tend to hold their value is because they have original IPs. They have Mario, they have Animal Crossing, they have all these, like, Donkey Kong. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what else do they have. But they have so much.
Yeah.
They have so much that no matter what, even if it's a bad game, people are going to buy it because that's just,
Well,
I mean, I bought Amiibo Festival for Animal Crossing, and that game's absolute garbage, so.
We're still yet to play that. I did get it for JayBee to try it out, and, we've not had a chance, but that's something we want to do. But I guess something that I was going to say, picking up on what you were saying, was, like, we feel that, Nintendo have really done that trend-setting thing again with Mario Kart Home Circuit. Like, we've recently got that, and when JayBee first played it, he was like, okay, the camera might be a bit off, but this is going to be, like, our children's future right here, like, linking that kind of stuff to, because, like, every child had a remote control car growing up, but to see that incorporated into a console was a bit like, wow, okay, this is a big step.
So I didn't realize that it was actually, like, a Switch game. I thought it was, like, a separate thing all on its own. I heard about it when they first said it was coming out, and I didn't really, like, look into it, because I was like, alright, whatever, it's like it's a literal Mario Kart game, and I'm like, I had no idea, and I looked at the price, I was like, oh, maybe I'll pick it up, and it's not cheap. I mean, it's definitely worth it, like, what you're, definitely worth the price. Because it's endless fun. Like, you can take that anywhere and create a track anywhere. It's incredible.
I mean,
so it's definitely something I will be picking up at some point.
I guess following up from that, though, because we've had some talks, behind the scenes and on camera, and it's only occurred to me kind of, like, prominently now, that on the last episode that you were on, we spoke a lot about, female representation in gaming. Do you have any takes on the fact that the only carts available are Mario and Luigi? Do you feel like it was a massive oversight that Peach is left out?
Yeah, honestly, I think so too. Like, because even with Mario Kart 64, you at least had Daisy. I believe she was in. I might be getting my Mario Karts confused. I'm pretty sure she was in the N64 one. But yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't do all of the characters, or just, like, have the game and then be able to buy other carts later, as additional carts. Because I think that would be cool too, and have, like, special editions of each cart, because I know I would buy, a Animal Crossing themed cart, or if there was, like, a Donkey Kong or anything, kind of like how Funko has, like, the main person, and then they have, like, a reskin of that. Like, that would be kind of cool too.
Yeah.
I'm, like, surprised and that Nintendo didn't create, like, a Princess Peach one, because there was these limited edition DSs, and the three of them, I think there was three. One was Mario, one was Luigi, and one was Peach. So you'd think that they would go for a Peach, especially because Nintendo does try to appeal to kids in general.
Yeah, like, that's one thing that we were kind of saying, is that, like, if you're aiming this at young children, for example, you've really limited the audience if you're not going to produce Peach, because a lot of girls would just be like, oh, well, this, I don't want to be these characters, I don't want to be a boy.
I agree.
And I mean, like, I love the concept that you were saying about the Animal Crossing cards. One thing that we'd kind of discussed is, obviously, the camera is the bit that's going to cost the most. So if they'd made that detachable, and then you could buy lots of different cars and choose who you wanted to be, that would make it so much more accessible.
Yeah, definitely. Or even just, like, have the carts and just have the characters that pop into, like, the cart,
Yeah, that'd be good.
You wouldn't have to buy, you could buy just the car itself with the camera on it, and you don't have to buy that one time, and then you could just get different characters that you could pop in there. Kind of like a Lego, just pop it in there.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
and then
have like
that.
detachable bodywork so that it doesn't look weird. That'd be cool.
Yeah, or even like an amiibo, you know what I mean, where like it has that chip in it where it tells you what character it is and it pops up on the screen. That would have been cool to do too.
I think that would be great. I think they'll definitely do a Link one or something for like the Zelda anniversary. I can see them just like producing one relatively quickly to just kind of add on to whatever Direct they do at the time. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think it's time that they have Peach, and it is a bit crazy how that, like, I don't know, it just seems like a massive oversight, and I can't think about any reason why they would have done it.
You know, it's funny. This is on topic, but a little off topic. Nintendo's the reason why games are directed towards boys. Did you know that?
No, what's the backstory with that?
So the thing was, when they were coming out with systems, they wanted to be able to put it in the toy aisle, and I want to say it was the NES, or maybe it was the SNES, one of those systems. And in order to be able to have it in the toy aisle, it was kind of like you had to market it towards one gender. This was obviously before we had like just toys everywhere. It was like boys and girls section. It was, you know, it was separated.
Yeah.
So they chose to market it towards boys. So even if you look at like late 80s, early 90s like commercials, it's all of it is marketed towards boys. And that's why people tend to think that video games are meant for boys, because the marketing shows that. You know, they always have like a guy in a skateboard. He's like, "Oh, look, I'm playing this cool game. I'm playing Donkey Kong or whatever." Like, they're part of the reason why there's that stereotype. I still love them, but they definitely fed into the whole stereotype that games are for boys, and you know, just a fun little fact there.
No, I mean, I can completely relate to that, because I'd say in terms of me playing games, I didn't kind of connect with any system until the Wii and the DS. So I absolutely adored being able to have a pink DS and carrying that around with me. But like you said, I feel like the first systems really were kind of excluding, you know, and were just exclusive to boys. And honestly, I'm starting to feel that again right now with some of Nintendo's like more recent kind of things they've brought out with not only the Mario Kart home circuit, but again, Lego Mario. I don't understand why they haven't broadened the horizons a little bit, and that you can buy a Peach starter pack as well. Or
yeah, you can't even get a Princess Peach set that Mario could even interact with. It's just they're completely absent from it.
Yeah, I can see that, and even like think of like all of their major big characters. They're all men, and you know, you have Link, you have
Mario.
Donkey Kong, you have Mario. I couldn't even think of their names. You think I should know that by now? But yeah, you have those all men, and you know, and then you have female characters in there. You know, you have Zelda, you have Peach, Daisy, and there's a female person in Donkey Kong, which I can't think of the name of. But like,
ooh, is it Dixie Kong?
Is it? I'm sure. I've never really been into the Donkey Kong. You know, I have the games.
Oh, I guess there's Samus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess you could say. Yeah, but it's funny because you didn't even know that she was a female until like you beat the first game, and then you know, it's interesting because you could talk about like the evolution of that too, where she was completely in a suit, and then, you know, like that armor suit, and then now she's in that like skin suit thing. It's like that, you know, we got to give that appeal, you know, got to make sure people know she's a girl, you know. It's the way that females are represented in games is always this, you know, showing off their bodies rather than actually showing off how strong they are.
No, I mean, that's definitely prominent, because just thinking, and like, I don't really have like a massive range on like Nintendo characters beyond the kind of core games, but even just thinking to like all the characters in Smash Brothers, all of the females in those games are either like sidekicks, or I guess there's like really cool characters like Rosalina, I think is one of my favourite Mario characters, and yet they were just kind of tagged onto the Galaxy games.
I mean, the one that you always choose to be is a girl as well, isn't it? What are they called?
That's Samus.
Oh, okay.
Because they've got that, I don't know what it is, but they've got like electro thing. Yeah. And are just like annoying.
But no, I was just thinking about what Harley was saying there, and the body types, that very much does cater to that.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, it's not for all cases. I mean, you could say like Tomb Raider kind of went the opposite way, where in like when what I want to say 95 is when Tomb Raider came out. I don't exactly know the year. Lara Croft was very, very. You could see a lot on her, and now as the games are coming out, she's actually more covered up, so it's kind of the opposite effect, which is nice. Because the original creator did not want her to be viewed as that. They wanted her to be a strong female character for young girls, so it's kind of nice they actually kind of went back to their roots with her, instead of making her this, like, icon,
Yeah, that does seem quite a lot better, but I don't know, I don't really see Nintendo changing now. Like, I think they will probably add in another female character to Mario potentially down the line, or something. I just don't ever see them giving, like Princess Peach their own title, or another character in that universe that can interact with inside their own game, which is a shame. But I don't know. I guess they don't really have a reason to change until they start being unsuccessful, which is a bit of a shame to say, but I don't know if they would risk it.
I mean, the only female character that I can think of would be, like, that has, like, the whole game is based around them, that's Nintendo, would be Bayonetta. Bayonetta 2 is for Nintendo only. Bayonetta 1 was for everything. But yeah, like Bayonetta, but then look at Bayonetta, it's a super, like, she's, you can see almost everything on her too. So it's that, I don't know, it's I think that just not even so much Nintendo, we're just, Nintendo just happens to be what we're talking about right now, but like every single game company needs to start having better representations of females and different body types too. Like, not every female is a stick, like, show me a girl with curves, because that's what real women look like,
I mean, they do have some powerful female characters that aren't that mainstream. Like Palutena from the Kid Icarus series is amazing. They're the reason why Pit can fly. They basically look after him, almost mother him through the entire thing. And if they just gave her her own series to thrive, I feel like that would open so many doors. But I don't know if they'll ever go through like that kind of different body type thing. Because I was thinking about that with Animal Crossing, in that I don't know how that would work. I mean, I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't do it. But it's like, with Pokemon, Animal Crossing, they've never done a body type thing. Like, for all they've done, skin tone, gender. I don't know if they'll ever do the body type thing.
I don't know. I think, though, with Animal Crossing, it does tend to be a bit more of a normal body type. It's not just a straight up and down, like, kind of...
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I do think Animal Crossing have done it better than perhaps a lot of other games. But like you said, there should be more variation.
Yeah, and I have to praise Animal Crossing because they've always been very, like... I feel like it's always been, like, a diverse game where people, like, of all types of, genders and, like, just, different ethnicities all come together and love Animal Crossing. Like, it's nice. And the whole edition with the different skin tones and the hairs and all of that thing really definitely brought even more of an appeal to the game. Because there's a lot of, like, lack of representation for a lot of these other, like, making characters, especially in, like, some other games that I play where there's, like, supposed to be really detailed character models and stuff, and I notice I'm like, it's not exactly consistent, across the board, like...
Yeah.
I can always make a white person, no problem, but I can't always make, like, somebody who's, like, multi-race, and I feel like that's kind of, that kind of stinks.
Even for a girl, though, like, in terms of being able to look at your character and kind of really customize it. I mean, I feel like on a lot of games, if you don't have either long blonde hair or long brown hair, or it's up in a ponytail, you have literally no option.
Yes, I agree, and it's, I feel like it's, if you have, like, crazy hair, too, where it's, like, it's either curly or, like, straight, and there's no, like, I have some weird hair where it's, like, kind of wavy, but it's not exactly straight, and I never find hair that looks like, even my Animal Crossing character, I, like, hate the hair, I'm like, I forgot it, I give up. because it's the lack of just hairstyles. I feel like I've always hated hairstyles in every game I've ever played. I've never been like, this is a good hairstyle. I've always had a problem with it.
No, I feel the same way. Like the hair colors and stuff. I could never find one that I liked that was like accurate. But no, like you said, on Animal Crossing, you can unlock so many different things through the ATM that it's kind of like in the end, you kind of feel like you're getting there.
Yeah, I definitely, because I remember with Wild World and New Leaf and City Folk, all the other ones, I had the exact same hairstyle and it's a miracle I don't have it for this one. It was the one with like the ponytail and bangs, but I never actually had bangs, but that was the one that I liked the most, so I would always have that hairstyle. But it was always the same red tone. Like, I've had the same hairstyle forever. And it wasn't until New Horizon where I'm like, okay, I think it's time to switch it up.
I mean, kind of going back to that conversation about Mario Kart Home Circuit and the representation and everything, like, the Xbox followed the Wii motion controls with Kinect. Mm-hmm. Do you think that in light of Home Circuit, Xbox and PlayStation are going to kind of rush to get some augmented reality product out within the next year or so?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would like to see what they're going to do, though. Like, what creative things they could come up with. Is this technology that they came up with going to be, like, revolutionary? Like, are we now going to have games that are all kind of, like, with the augmented reality? I mean, it's funny because this isn't Nintendo's first, like, attempt at this. They kind of did that with the 3DS with those cards. But obviously this is way more successful. So, I don't know. Like I said, you could literally talk about Nintendo for hours because they're just an incredible company that always does like the craziest things, and somehow it works out for them. Like, even their failed systems aren't like failed systems. People are still trying to get them. You know, like, you're gonna pay a lot of money if you want to play a Virtual Boy. You know, which is a system that like. Yeah. Unless you're into collecting, you have no idea. Like, you're never gonna see that out in the wild. It's very rare.
I mean, even people who were like, "Oh yeah, the Wii U was it flopped. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was." Yeah. Like, JayBee still fights with his little brother over who gets to keep the Wii U in their room, so who can play it the most. Like, people do still love it, even though it wasn't as successful as it could have been.
Yeah, there's only like 170, I want to say, games that came out, like hard, physical copies of games. So I'm actually currently trying to get all of those games. There's really not that many that are like ridiculously expensive. There's like a Hello Kitty kart game that's like Mario Kart, but it's Hello Kitty and it's absolute garbage. And then there's another one that's like, I think it's called Devil's Third, and it's a weird like shooter game. I don't really know too much about it, but that one's also pretty expensive. So it's I see that system gonna go up in value at some point. Now the games are pretty cheap for it, and you can get them no problem. But I see at some point people catching on and saying, "Oh, I want a complete Wii U collection," because there's not that many to get. It's not like trying to get a complete PlayStation 2 collection where there's literally thousands of PlayStation 2 titles. Like 100 and something is actually much more easy to get as opposed to, 500 plus.
I mean, I feel that the Wii U will probably look to see a surge in value. But at the same time, I feel that Nintendo are actively trying to phase out the Wii U because every kind of mainstream title that they had on there has now been ported over. Like, the last big one that you kind of like would be the reason to go back to the Wii U was Mario 3D World, which I really love. But even that's coming over to the Switch now, and it's kind of like, I feel like once the Switch's lifetime is done, every single game that people would want to play from the Wii U will be on the Switch.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like, it's easy money for Nintendo. It's just porting stuff over. That's why Mario All-Stars was such a success, because it's just, people just want to play, like, games on one system. It's easier to have one system, and the Switch is so easy to hook up. You know, there's no like sensor bar you have to make sure is center, and there's no 500 plugs. It's like 2 plugs, you know, to connect it to the TV. And if you don't want to connect it to the TV, you just make sure that the actual, you know, switch is charged and you're good to go. Like, it doesn't get any simpler than that.
No, I'd agree with you on that point. Like, JB's little brother was going on holiday and they were like, should I take my Switch? Because it is just so easy. Like, you can just pick it up and take it away with you if you're just going away for a couple of days and want to play a game. But likewise, it's just a case of, you know, dropping it in the port and you can go straight onto the TV. It is brilliant for that.
And what's nice about it too is it's got the USB Type-C on the bottom, which is how it charges through the dock. And if you just don't want to take the dock with you, just make sure you have that kind of a cable.
Yeah.
And it'll charge up just fine. You know, which I've done. I've literally, because it's the same phone, it's the same charger as my phone, so I literally just, I literally just used my phone charger to charge up my Switch when it's like dying or something, and I'm in bed, and I'm like, all right, gotta do my dailies on Animal Crossing, like.
No, it is so convenient, and I don't know why, I'm probably just the laziest person on earth, because when I found out about 3D All-Stars, the main part that I was so excited about was to play Galaxy again, and this is, you know, I think in the place that we were living at before, even the place now, we have had a Wii hooked onto our TV for that entire time. I've had Galaxy with us, I've had the Wii remote, and I've had the nunchucks, and I'd never played it once, and yet when I saw the trailer for 3D All-Stars, it's like, oh my gosh, I can play Galaxy again. So, I don't know, for all it can just be viewed as a lazy port, something about that just got me excited. Or I think probably it was the fact that whenever there's a port to the Switch, not only is it, you know, you can play it more conveniently and on the latest console, but it's also that portability aspect, which I think is amazing.
Oh, definitely. I think that's like one thing that the Switch and Nintendo has on the market is like, they've always had the market on handhelds. You know, they had huge success from the Game Boy onward, and PlayStation did try, and they did really good with the PSP and the PS Vita. Those are really awesome systems, but ultimately Nintendo was always won in that. And it's funny because the specs for those things have always been lower quality than the other options. Like, for example, you have the Sega Game Gear, and that was actually way better than the Game Boy because it was colored. You know, the original Game Boy was black and white, or green. It's really green. But it was that portability because it could fit in your pocket or a bag, as opposed to the Game Gear, which was, you know, monstrous. You know, and it's interesting that Nintendo always has had certain niches that they're really good at. You know, they've always been good at handhelds and this weird hybrid system that's never really been a thing before. You know, you can take it with you or you can play it at home. It's fantastic. I love the Switch. I need to get more games for my Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, me too. Like, we've got quite a few at the moment, but it always just seems like the second you invest in a Switch game, there's always another one that you're like, oh, well, that looks cool as well. Like, it's so addictive.
Yeah.
See, I think another reason that we don't have more games is just because it's kind of like Animal Crossing is still so prominent for what we're playing that it's kind of like it never leaves the Switch. We've got maybe 15 games and we never change them just because Animal Crossing is still just such, you know, a prominent game at the minute with new updates and things. It's kind of like there's always something new to do that no other games really get a look in.
Definitely. Animal Crossing has been a game from the beginning that you could always play year-round, and that was like the one thing that was like so awesome that like Americans really liked, that was the reason they actually sent the game. Okay, I'm going on a tangent here. So Animal Crossing originally came out on the Nintendo 64 in Japan, and they ported it over to the GameCube, and they did all this like localization for like Americans and like the rest of the world. And it was such a big hit in America. It sold so many copies that they made it again for the GameCube for Japan. So they actually have 2 separate editions of the original Animal Crossing for the GameCube. because they liked it so much. So it's just cool. Like, Animal Crossing has always been something where just the small details, it makes you come back. I actually haven't played it recently. I just haven't had a chance to, and I started playing it this morning, and now I'm back on the hook. Like, this is what's going to happen now. I'm never going to play anything else again, so.
But no, yeah, Animal Crossing is just one of those games, like, there's just so many things that I'm looking forward to, like I said before we started recording, or maybe even early on recording, but just the fact about just decorating the whole island for Christmas, like what they're gonna do with New Year. Like, I almost just wanna, like, jump into the TV and just live on the island full time.
Definitely. Well, it's interesting, because I remember there was a New Year's where I literally I was playing Wild World, and I was holding my DS while I'm watching the ball drop, and I'm like, yep, and I'm celebrating with my my villagers New Year's, watching the fire, because there's fireworks that go off and everything.
Wow.
When it does the countdown, that was the moment I realized, yeah, I'm a pretty big dork. Like, I'm sitting here celebrating New Year's with my villagers.
See, every year I'd have had a New Year's party, but this year JayBee's like, I really want to see what happens on the island at New Year, so I think we should just be on the Switch for New Year's Eve.
I think
and not do anything. So we're just like, okay, we can do that. And to be fair, I think it'll be like
New Year's Eve party.
Yes. I do think it'll be fun.
Yes. Oh my god.
Just invite a bunch of people to the Animal Crossing New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
We invite everyone and we live stream it.
Like, that would be cool.
Oh my gosh. I hope KK Slider's there, or I don't know what's gonna happen. I know that it's wacky. That I think it's already in the coding. Like, it's not like the Christmas update where if you go to Christmas Day, all you're gonna get is the winter. I think New Year's is coded into the game now, purely for the fact that it's written about in the guide.
Okay.
But no. I wonder if they'll introduce a new character for New Year's. I don't know. Maybe.
I'm like interested to see what what they're gonna do for like Valentine's Day and stuff. I think that would be kind of cool too.
That could be really sweet.
They could bring back wedding season. Well, they'll do something better. Gosh, I'm just trying to think.
I was thinking almost like the eggs that you used to be able to get out of trees. You could shake little love hearts out of them and craft cute little stuff.
Oh, that would be cool.
Like a little love heart bed, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, that would be amazing. And you could have like your islanders dress up as like little cupids. Oh, I'd love that.
That should so be a new NPC.
The Cupid NPC. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that would be good.
I want that to happen.
And then just have like a little bow and arrow and like wings and stuff like that. Oh my god, that'd be so cute.
Oh, I want to see KK Slider dressed up as a Cupid.
That would be amazing. I'd pay money to see that.
And as well, we saw on the new update video that, is it Franklin's coming back?
Yeah.
So I know that, you've played some of the old Animal Crossing games and we haven't. Like, can you tell us a bit about Franklin?
Yeah. I actually have to look if I'm thinking of the right character.
It's like a little gobbling turkey. They've got a chef's hat on.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I actually don't really remember anything about him. I'm gonna be honest with you. For whatever reason, I don't ever, like, everyone talks about him, and I don't remember anything about him. I don't know. He's such not a memorable character.
Oh, well, I was quite excited because I predict that they're going to revamp them, because from what I can understand in previous games, they just kind of rocked up on your village or on your island for, I think, Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I think that's the extent of what I remember from him, is he just kind of shows up, and I think he gives you something, like some food or something. It wasn't anything memorable for me, at least.
No, well, hopefully what I'm predicting is that they wouldn't bring any NPC back without purpose. Like, they like to not cut corners, but they like to streamline what they're doing with New Horizons. So we know that Wendell was a big part of the Dream Suite in previous games, but they just phased them out for like an interface. And so it's like, if they're going to bring back an NPC, they're not just going to waste it on something that they could just do, like, generically. For example, I wouldn't put it past them just saying, oh, look, it's Thanksgiving, so in Nook's Cranny you can now buy food. And previously you'd get that piece of food from Franklin. So if they're bringing them back, I want to think that they've got big plans for them. Hopefully cooking or something. Because if they have a restaurant island, if you have to, like, grow vegetables to take to them for recipes, I think that would be amazing. So hopefully they do have a purpose.
Well, like, my biggest complaint from Animal Crossing with this game, and it's not that big of a complaint, but it's the waiting for other things to happen, you know, like, you have to wait for events. I would like them to add, like, the cafe, you know,
yes.
and like, other things, because, like, in New Leaf, you always had, you had a cafe, and you would go on, like, I think Saturdays? Yeah, Saturdays, because Keiki comes on Saturdays, and he'd be performing at the cafe. It was just such a cool atmosphere to, like, sit in, and you really did have a lot of fun just sitting in the cafe and stuff, so... And you always got coffee, and you could sit there and drink it, and cool. I don't know, it made you just feel so cool.
It sounds really cool, and to be honest, there's so many things that I hear about from other games that I would just love to see incorporated, like... I think JayBee told me that there was this one game where you could go to different islands and there was mini games on these islands or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that might have been for the GameCube, and I think it was when you could hook up something to the GameCube. I'm trying to... my Animal Crossing knowledge apparently just decided to leave my mind today. But yeah, there was, like, mini games. I really do want to say it was for the GameCube. With something with the Game Boy player on the bottom, where you could hook up, I want to say, a Game Boy Advance to it. Yeah, and you could do mini games on your Game Boy Advance. I'm not 100% sure on that, so if I'm wrong, don't yell at me. But it was cool. I'm sure there's always been, like, little things to do, like in New Leaf. You were able to go to, like, this tropical island, and there was this whole family that lived on this island, and you'd interact with them and all this stuff. And they got rid of them. And I mean, I know why, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, I miss going to see those characters and talking to those characters. And, like, you know, I was riding on the boat with that one, I can't remember his name. I know he's, like, a turtle-looking thing.
Tortimer?
It wasn't Tortimer, but it was, I don't remember his name. I don't want to be like... I don't think... He might even be a frog. I'm not really sure. He's a green guy. And and you would go to his island with his whole family, and you just, like, hang out there. It's like a little tropical thing. And they don't have it anymore. It's like a... You know, where am I supposed to go? How many times am I going to go and go to these deserted islands and chop down trees and collect fish from there? Like... You know, in theory, sounds lovely, but, you know, when you have, like, 100+ hours in the game, you don't really need to go to those islands anymore. They're kind of... They lose their magic in a way.
Yeah, and, like, I really enjoyed that one island that we got to do around May time, where there was that little maze and you could meet Rover. I wish they did more things like that, where it was kind of like, you know, something existing beyond your island, something interactive that you could do, because... The only other thing really is, like you said, going to random islands, and once you've got your islanders, you don't really want to do that. And otherwise the only thing's Halves Island, and I feel like after Wedding Day season, that literally had nothing on offer.
Yeah, like, you have Harvey's Island, where you could do literally events that, like, there should be an event a month for that. Like, have something going on there, you know, have it be like a dinner party, or just, I don't know, depending, like they could have done, like, a Halloween party for this month, you know, and they could have done, like, Thanksgiving for, like, November, or, you know, Christmas for December, like a Christmas party, and then a New Year's party for January. And look, I'm coming up with ideas for you, Animal Crossing. You really should start paying me for this. Like, I came up with the 4 months of content right there for you.
You know, everyone's shouting it out for them, like, come on, more custom design slots, bring back Brewster, like, come on, everyone's giving you your ideas, just do it. Yeah,
just do it, honestly. Like, these are things that should... haven't touched my island. My island is like pretty much the same since you guys like did the island tour. There's a few things that are different. But I literally keep leaving things where they are in hopes that they're going to add more buildings. Because I'm like, this is not a lot of buildings. Like, you could add more to this.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
there should be something, you know, create like a library or something where you can store like all your DIY recipes. You know, so that way, like, when people come to your island, they can go and get a DIY recipe they may not have or something like that, you know? I think that would be kind of a cool addition or something. Or, like, have, like, a guest book where people could, like, sign it saying that they were there. I mean, I guess you have that technically with, like, the billboard out front, but, I don't know, I think just having, like, an actual guest book where it's, like, you know, this person from, you know, this island came on this date or whatever. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, like, I really want them to do, you know, like with the museum stamp rally, I really want you to be able to make a custom design. It can be the island flag, or just every person that has an island can make a stamp. And if ever someone visits their island, they can have the option to make a stamp in their little stamp book, because doing so many island tours, I just wish that there was a way to collect memorabilia. Like, one thing that we love doing in, like, our personal life, in real life, is every time we visit somewhere, we like to get a magnet for that respective place. And I'd just love to have an equivalent of that, like JayBee and Millie visited Shimmer, or JayBee and Millie visited Shutter. Like, that would be amazing.
Almost incorporate that in with your passport. Like, I remember when I was little and we used to go on holiday, whenever you went to a new country, you had to get your passport stamped.
Yes.
So if you could almost get, like, a stamp in your passport for every island you went to, and then it could be, like, a Nook Miles thing, like, you've now visited 10 different islands, here's 300 Nook Miles.
I'd love that.
And that'd be really cool, too. I feel like that'd be a pretty big, like, it would be very successful to have something like that, because I travel a bunch to different islands, and just, it would just be cool. It'd be a cool thing that would cost them, like, nothing really to do, so, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot that they could
add
do.
stuff to your game. Okay.
Or more merch. Oh, they're doing merch now, though. I don't know if it's, like, a thing all around, but they've just, like, announced that they're going to make more of those little pillows. And I just, like...
Amiibo cards are coming back too.
Yes,
I saw that. The Amiibo cards were coming back.
Predominantly, it's just in the US. We've not had any, like, official release for them in the UK, I don't think.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Well, I was in Target last weekend, and they had a bunch of, like, plushies and stuff, and they had these, like, carrying bags for the Switch, and it was, like, a book bag, and I bought one, not gonna lie.
We need to go to Target. Let's go to America. Just
I would go there.
They have three different, like, patterns, and they have, like, Animal Crossing journals and stuff, and it was hard not to buy everything. I really will probably go back at some point, because my biggest thing is I've always wanted to have, like, a shelf in my room or house or whatever, and just have it be all Animal Crossing. And, I mean, I have, like, a bunch of plushies. I have almost all of the games, except for, like, Happy Home Edition and, what's that one? City Folk. I had City Folk, but I don't know what happened to my copy. It disappeared. I think my sister has it, which is whatever. I can just buy another one. But it's like I'm almost there with the complete Animal Crossing collection. I finally got the original Animal Crossing just a couple weeks ago. Someone who watches my Twitch channel, they had a friend who had a copy of it, and we got in touch, and he actually sold me the original one for not a bad price, because that game is not cheap, especially because GameCube prices are insane. So I'm pretty happy to have that. So
yeah, I mean, hopefully, when they start to open, I don't know what it's called. Is it Super Nintendo Land? The kind of theme park that they're making in Japan, they rush to get a load of merchandise out to fill in the shops, and they start to appear in kind of like American shops and English shops, like, hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, kind of moving on to that kind of aspect of things, we spoke about 3D All-Stars briefly, and we also saw on one of your videos that you managed to find a copy. So, what were your kind of thoughts on that, if you've played it, or if you're still trying to keep it sealed for the most part?
It's still sealed in my, it's still sealed. I I haven't opened it yet, and I'm debating whether or not to open it. Right now, I've actually been watching the price of it, because I like Mario, and I could see myself playing it, but I can't convince myself to open it, because I just have this fear that the second I open it, suddenly everybody's going to want it, and then it's going to be like a thing. It's not even like I'm going to resell it if it goes up in value. Like, I'm going to hold on to it, but for whatever reason, I'm like, I got to leave it in here. Because the only game that I don't have out of that collection is Mario Sunshine. So, and that game is not exactly cheap. It's interesting, though, because if you look at the prices for Mario Sunshine, it actually started to drop when All-Stars came out, because people were able to play it through All-Stars. So that's what they're doing, and they're not buying Sunshine as much anymore.
What do you think to Nintendo's approach with All-Stars in they're only kind of releasing the cartridge copies until... When is it?
Oh, I'm angry at that.
Well, it's the downloaded version as well. You can only download it in that time as well. So
yes.
It's like, yeah, it's crazy.
That's the issue. I mean, if you think about it, like, in general, games like that are physical are all technically a limited release. You know, they only make them for a certain amount of time. You know, like, you're not always going to go and find Animal Crossing in Target. You know, you'll see it there for a while, but once that sells out and they're done producing it kind of a thing. So that doesn't really bother me. What does bother me is the downloaded ones, because it doesn't cost them any money to have a download up. It doesn't affect them at all. If anything, it's basically free money in a way for them. So what they're trying to do is they're just trying to create a shortage of stuff so people will buy it. You know, they feel rushed to buy it, which is exactly what I did. I was like, I didn't know the game was coming out. I thought it was the following month that it came out, and I actually saw your video that you posted about your unboxing of it, and I went, oh no! So I ran to Target. I literally ran to Target after watching your video, because I'm a good viewer. I watched the whole video before I left.
Thank you.
And I was like, I ran to Target, I checked to see online if they had it, I purchased it online, and then I drove to Target to go get it, and I actually walked to the back of the store to go see if they had, like, multiple copies of it, because I didn't want to take the chance of getting there and then have it be sold out, you know, and it doesn't really cost any extra money for them to go and pick it up for you. So, you know, they had a bunch of copies, and I think last time I checked, I think I was there on Saturday, and they still had 1 or 2 copies left, and yeah, it's not really that much of a shortage like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to sell out instantly, and I think a lot of people predicted that. Some people, like, did pre-order sales, like, where they pre-order it, and then they would kind of, like, scalp the price on eBay for, like, $100. So people were buying it for, like, $100+, and the game's only $60. The game's only $60. So, I mean, that's part of the reason why I tell people, like, don't buy games for retail value unless it's a brand new game out of the box. Don't do it, because things like this happen all the time. It happened with the Animal Crossing Switch, where people were buying these things for like $600 when the system's only worth $300, and they re-released the Animal Crossing Switch. So,
I mean, not even just the Animal Crossing Switch. In this country, like over in the UK, when the lockdown first started, Animal Crossing, just the game itself, was that hard to get hold of, a physical copy, that you could buy one for $50 and resell it for at least $75.
ooh.
Just because the game in itself was that kind of desirable, just because people were wanting it going into lockdown to have something to do. And a lot of people do prefer the physical game to just downloading stuff.
Well, that was me. When I found out Animal Crossing, like, the data was coming out and everything, I had, like, a crisis, because I was like, I need to get a game. I wanted to have a pre-order bonus. I don't know why I was so determined to have a pre-order bonus with Animal Crossing. I guess because I just really love the franchise so much. And I remember just, like, being unable to choose a place, and then I waited too long, and all the places that had stuff, like, sold out, like, of pre-orders, and then I didn't want to go out on the day that it came out and like run around to all these different stores, especially because it was like right as lockdown was happening. And I remember I pre-ordered it off of Amazon, and then Amazon's like, oh, well, you're not going to get it until Monday. I'm like, the game comes out Friday. Hell no. Like, I'm not waiting that long. So I ended up getting it from Best Buy.
See, we're really lucky when we pre-order stuff. Like, we pre-ordered the Mario Kart Home Circuit from the Nintendo store, I believe.
Yeah, the UK.
And it
Nintendo
arrived
store.
the day before it was released. So we got to do a full unboxing video the day before. But I guess the really annoying thing was you couldn't download the actual game till the day after. So we were sat here with these 2 carts and some gates in front of us, like, we physically can't make these things move.
And that's the thing, like, you know, we've seen with the 3DS or even the Wii that not all, like, they can't keep the eShop open forever. And one of my biggest kind of, like, grievances with Mario Kart Home Circuit is that you can't physically get the game in a box. You have to download it from the eShop. And so it's going to be a long time. But even if people are collecting these Mario Kart RC cars in the future, like, you know, if it's, you know, faded into what's an obscurity, you won't be able to play it at all if they shut down the Switch eShop. Like, I don't know, it's just annoying.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's annoying about, like, all of that kind of stuff is, like, at some point there's going to be games that you're not going to have access to. As we move to like the digital era, and it's interesting because like you have like systems like the PlayStation 5 where they're creating systems that don't even have disk drives anymore because physical gaming is just kind of disappearing in a way. You know, like a lot of people don't really buy physical copies. I buy physical copies for my Switch. It's actually the only newer system where I buy physical copies for. But like my Xbox and my PlayStation 4, generally I do downloading now. I have a couple of physical discs of stuff. Usually games that I'm like super excited for, I'll get a physical copy of it. But if it's like, you know, if it's something like a Call of Duty game, which I don't play Call of Duty, but that's what came to my head, I'm not going to buy a physical copy of that. I'll just download it if I really want it.
Yeah, see, I think though for like younger people playing the PlayStation, so like, for example, I have a nephew who's about 13, I think, and what he'll do is, like, his parents will get him a game for Christmas, but then, like, because they can't afford to buy him every game he wants, he then can sell that hard copy of the game when he's completed it, to then be able to purchase another game himself, and I feel like if you don't have parents who are just gonna, like, for, like, children this is, who are just gonna, like, fuel your gaming, then it's actually really going to put a halt on things for them, because like I said, I know people who physically complete a game and then like, okay, well something else is coming out that I really want, so I can now sell this, and that's how they like kind of fund what they play. So I do feel like it has some issues for a lot of people.
That was going to be my next thing too, is like when you start talking about having just digital based stuff, you have a lot of issues. Like some people, and this might sound like crazy, they might not have internet where they are, and, you know, or if their internet might just be really, really bad, and that's something that we don't really think about, because we all have generally really good internet where they can just download a game no problem, but some people might not be able to do that, you know, so that's one reason why physical games should still be around. And then another one is, like you said, like, buying and trading and selling used games. Like you can't trade in a digital game, you know, and you can't really, they haven't really figured out the whole like returning a digital game. I know for like Steam on the computer, I think it's like 3 hours of gameplay or maybe 2 hours of gameplay, you have to return it. So you have just that little bit of time to determine whether or not you're going to play it. Because sometimes I've literally played a game for 5 hours and then go, no, I hate this game. You know, as opposed to like Animal Crossing where I could play it for, I don't know how many hours, and at some point just go, I don't want this anymore, I'm going to go sell it on eBay, or I'm going to take it into GameStop or any other kind of trade-in store. You know, that economy of newer game systems and stuff is gonna eventually it's gonna die out. But I feel like some people are gonna get left behind because technology is not 100% there yet for everyone.
I mean, I'm definitely going to be the type of person that gets left behind, just because in terms of owning things physically, I have this completely, I don't know, I'm completely, incapable of moving on. Like, in terms of books, I've got shelves and shelves of them. Like, if I could, like, do, like, a room tour, we've literally got an entire double bookshelf dedicated to DVDs and the DVD box.
Yeah, I mean, we are very kind of old school with this sort of stuff. Like, we do have Netflix, but we have like minimum 1,000 DVDs just all in their like boxes on shelves, like, so we can walk along almost like at a library and just choose what we're gonna watch. The same with books. We don't really do like ebooks or like having the books, downloading the audio files for them and stuff.
I tried to do ebooks. It was like really hard. I have to have that physical book in my hand. I don't know. It's just not the same. It's not the same.
It's really not. Like, some things moving forward can be for the best. Like, I guess, say, for a portable thing. So if you're using the Switch mainly on handheld, maybe downloadable games are better because it's kind of like you can transport the entire thing quite easily. If you're having it handheld, you're probably going to take it somewhere with you. That way you don't need to pack all of the games, you can just have access to them. But I feel like if you're using it predominantly on the TV, then that's kind of where the cartridges and stuff come into play, because it's kind of then the only kind of upside to it. It's just irrelevant.
No, definitely. It's the whole thing of physical collecting and everything is like, you know, in like 5 or 10 years, are we still going to be doing physical collecting? Is that still going to be a thing? I really hope so, because I definitely love to have these physical collections. And it's funny because they'll now do collector's editions or like all the stuff, and they'll give you a digital copy, but you still get like a figurine, and then it's like, well, what's the point of getting the figurine if I don't have a physical thing to go with it? I could have just bought this figurine separately, you know? So all those like special edition stuff where you get all those bonuses for buying it seems kind of obsolete at this point, in a way. I don't know.
That's
what is interesting.
It's what really disappointed me about Mario 3D All Stars is that I'm planning on doing a video of like a Mario games collection, and I stumbled across even the Wii version of Mario All Stars, and there's a lovely booklet that goes along with it with facts, trivia. There's even a separate disc that goes through like a short film of, you know, the history of Nintendo or the history of Mario, like even for the Wii. And I don't know, it just seems that if Nintendo aren't even going to put a booklet into the 3D All Stars box, it could be that they themselves are just signaling, okay, we're going to make this a limited release, but don't expect these, you know, physical copies to stick around because we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, and that like really irritated me too, is the lack of a manual or anything in almost all of the Switch games.
Yeah.
Because you went out of your way to put in a spot where a manual could be, which I know they put stuff in there. I know for like the Yu-Gi-Oh game that came out for the Switch, there was Yu-Gi-Oh cards in there. But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, why bother putting this in here if you're not going to put anything here? Like, the DS games had like 50 pieces of paper in there, and now you're going to go from like 50 to none? Like...
I mean, I completely agree with you. Just before you made that point, I actually went over to our shelf where we keep the Switch games and picked one up at random. And in every single one of the boxes, there's a place where you could put a booklet. And it's like, why? Why have you done that? It's just laziness. Why do you need to do this box like this?
And they're all like that. The PlayStation is like that too, and the Xbox. And now instead of like a manual, here's what they usually... There was a couple games I have that literally have a piece of paper in there with a link, like with a, you know, go to this website for the manual. Why didn't you just give me the damn manual? Like...
I mean, we found that doing the Lego Mario thing. Okay, so whenever we had Lego as a child, it had like this huge pamphlet of step 1, step 2, And with this, you didn't get a piece of paper in it. And we were like, what do you do? And you had to install an app on your like phone or your iPad or whatever. And there was this little barcoded piece of Lego that you had to scan Mario in on. And we were like, what is
Lego
this?
they don't give paper directions anymore, right? Like, at all. And that's like, what if you're like an old person who just really likes collecting Legos and you don't know, like, you have a flip phone. Like, now you're like, you're out of luck. Figure it out.
What if, like, children who are babysat by, like, their grandchildren who don't have internet? Like, my gran doesn't have internet. And say, like, when I was younger, she was babysitting me. I wouldn't have had access to this kind of stuff. So I could take some toys over to play with. And, like, oh, I can't actually install this. I can't actually upload anything here. Like...
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to these companies having... like, not realizing the privilege that a lot of people have, you know, like, some people aren't privileged enough to have internet, you know, some people, like, I know that there are kids who are doing virtual classes that have to go and sit in, like, a McDonald's all day just to do their schoolwork. Like, we think that internet is just everybody has it, because most of the world does, but there are still places, I know in the United States, that they're still on dial-up internet. And that just blows my mind, because I haven't been on dial-up since, like, the 90s.
So, yeah, that is a really good point, because, like, I don't know, I can defend Nintendo and Lego in terms of that Lego Mario aspect, in terms of, if Lego are completely phasing out paper manuals, I would imagine that collectively that would be quite good for the environment. But at the same time, my favourite part of buying the old Pokemon games was the manuals. Like, they'd go over all the starter Pokemon, they'd give you backstory, like, this is your rival, this is what they're about, and I don't know, like, the only thing we got with Pokemon Sword was that code, you know, like, we're doing a Meowth Gigantamax mystery gift, type this into the Switch console and you get it until, like, the 1st of January. And that was it.
Yeah, and especially when you, like, look at, like, the older games, and, like Pokemon's a great example, where the manual is absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's a piece of artwork, and it's not, like, existent anymore. Like, I know, like, Grand Theft Auto, and Rockstar games in general always had these really thick manuals, and, like, they'd come with maps and stuff. Like, my living room has, like, the Grand Theft Auto maps of, like, all of the different cities all around my living room, because they're just cool. Like, I feel like they don't do it anymore.
They don't, and I kind of can defend Nintendo a little bit here, and that JayBee bought me the Animal Crossing manual, the guidebook, and a week after it came out, it was out of date because of their next update. And it's kind of like, with Animal Crossing at least, they're doing that many updates with things, it's like, it just kind of made everything before irrelevant. And it was actually really disappointing, because to get that manual, and it had a list of all the fish, all the bugs, and so you knew what to get every month to have a complete museum. And then they introduced the sea creatures, and it was like, okay, well, what do you do now? How do you know what to get now, sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's, like, frustrating too, is, like, guidebooks and stuff are also kind of being phased out too. I mean, they still make them, but in a way it's, like, not really, because there's not, like, a need for it now, because we have online websites, we have YouTube, we have, like, all this stuff that just tell you how things kind of work, you know, and like you said, things are so quickly out of date, you know. It's kind of funny sometimes. I know people who, like, go through guidebooks and they, like, count how many inaccuracies are in them because of, like, updates and stuff.
Yeah.
Where they, like, suggest to do things, but then that whatever they suggest to do is later patched out. So it's just it's interesting.
And I mean, again, it kind of comes back to that just in the association that everybody's going to have the internet to be able to download these new updates. Like, I remember playing Harry Potter on the PlayStation 2, for example, and you didn't get updates. Like, I don't even think the internet was a factor in that at all. I could take it to my grand's house and set it up. Whereas with Animal Crossing now, you need to have internet access at least once a month to get your DLC, like your updates.
I feel bad for the people that are playing this game that don't have access to the updates, that are just playing, like, you know, or, like, you could have, like, kids whose parents are very, like, strict with the internet because, you know, obvious reasons, and they might not allow their kids to connect their Switch to the internet, so they might not be able to get updates. Like, there's probably a huge chunk of people that are kind of unspoken about.
I kind of miss being able to just get that game cartridge with everything on it. And I mean, I'm saying that and also contradicting myself, because I love getting these Animal Crossing updates. It gives me a new passion for the game every month to get this update. But I can see a perspective where it's like, okay, just don't do time traveling and then let everybody just play through the game normally or something like that.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, I kind of wish that, like, they would just have given us the whole game at once. But then I know that, like, people would have, because people already kind of did, you know, ruin it by time jumping and stuff, by getting, like, the special, like, the snowflakes and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, darn, like, I just wanted to get there on my own. I only time travel when I want to get my mail.
Yeah.
But I don't ever, like, time jump. I time jump once. I think I time jumped to, like, I was in August, I time jumped to September, because I didn't want to wait for, like, one particular bug, and I started up the game, and I walked out of my house, and I was like, no, I don't have the conscience to do this is cheating, and then I turned it off.
See, I'd missed the turnips by, like, 1 minute, and I was like, okay, JayBee, will you judge me if I go back by, like, 5 minutes just so I can buy some turnips? And he was like, I will never, ever play this game with you ever again if you do that. It was like, you know, this is like, why do you need to do that? Wake up earlier, like...
Well, no, because it's just like, if you did it to do that, I know that I would go crazy with it. Like, where would it end? Like, I'd end up at Christmas Day, I'll end up at New Year's,
just
like...
down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, like, it's like a gateway time travel.
Well, I time jumped one time with turnips, and all I did was time jump to get them, because it was the same thing. I missed it by a few minutes, and then I actually went to go, like, time jump to sell them, like, you know, to go back to normal time, and they rotted, and I was like, all right, well, you know, this is what I get for trying to cheat, like. So I wasted a lot of money on stupid turnips.
Oh gosh, yeah, because they do rot, like, oh, I don't know. I guess they do a lot to deter people from time traveling, but at the same time, there's so many quality of life updates that they could just introduce. Like, I've been tempted to time travel mostly to pick up, like, different villages that people are having in boxes. Like, if you can invite an amiibo campsite, you can free up a space really easily and then replace them. But it's a matter of, like, a 2-day, 3-day thing if you invite them consistently. So we've been looking for roles for the longest time, and we've had a few opportunities to collect them, but it's been a situation where, like, we couldn't have physically got them without time traveling. And of course, people that we know don't know who's going to be in boxes until the day they are, and then it's not really enough time for us to get prepared.
Yeah, well, when you guys got me Hugh, it was hours of me trying to get rid of one of my villagers. I mean, it was hours. I was time jumping. I kept time jumping days, and just, it was horrible. I'm glad I have him now. Like, he's settled. He's happy in his new home. But it was horrible. Like, there are people who do this all the time to get the perfect villager. I don't have that kind of energy. I just, out of everyone there, as long as they're cute and they're nice, they can stay for as long as they want. But, oh my god, like, I couldn't do it all the time to try and get a perfect villager. I think I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, delirium would set in.
Yeah, I started at, like, 9 o'clock, and I think it was, like, 7 or 8 when I finally got, like, that one villager to leave. Like, it was hours of me sitting there trying, like, almost 12 hours me trying to get rid of a stupid villager. Just one, because I literally had one leave, and then another one moved in, and I was very grumpy that day.
No, it was so long because I remember I woke up super early our time. I think it was about 7 a.m. or something. And then I like just dropped dead. I had like a nap until like what 12, and then it was still, even then it was like another good like few hours until like you got back to us, and it was like yay, they've got a space, but like
And
I
I
couldn't
felt
imagine
so
sat
bad.
there.
I was like, they're waiting for me, and I need to get this done today. No one would leave. Everyone, I guess people just like to stay on my island, but I'm like, leave. Somebody go. Like, I don't even care who it is at this point.
It's always the ones that you want to keep as well that's like, oh, I think I might leave now. And it's like, not you. Why are you saying this? Why? Can't that one just walk over like, so
Yes.
I want to discover new horizons.
It's
run
horrible.
into them, then go.
Like it's like every time you want to handpick a villager, you have to like get your favorite and throw them off a cliff for the soul stone. It's crazy.
It's so frustrating, and oh my god,
Oh.
I can't.
Oh no, it's the struggles are real.
Oh yeah. And now that I turn on Animal Crossing, I'm gonna be. The addiction's gonna start. This always happens though with Animal Crossing with me, where like I'll play it so much, like consistently, and then I'll have like not a falling out, but I just won't play it for like a little while, and then the second I start it up again, it's nonstop. So now it's gonna be nonstop, and I'm happy about that.
Have you had a chance to play since the Halloween update, or is this
I
kind of
haven't.
like?
This is
Oh,
literally
wow.
the first time I've
Whoa.
played since. I'm so upset with myself. Like, I knew that they were gonna do a Halloween update, and I was like, yeah, I'm totally gonna play. And then it's like, it's October 1st. It's October 2nd. Now it's suddenly October 25th. Okay, I need to turn this game on.
To be fair, I can see why there wasn't the huge rush, because you don't actually get Jack till the 31st.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Well,
like.
that's like, I knew that too. And like, I knew that like, all the other stuff that all the like stuff at the Nook shop, I could just time jump a couple days to get the stuff. Like, you know, it's not really that big of a deal for me. Which, yeah, now I'm going to start time jumping all over the place. I just accepted time jumping as now a part of my, you know, daily life, where before I was like so against it.
No,
I still think it's cheating, but I've lowered my standards drastically.
Oh no. Well, it is understandable because there's so much that you just need to like wait for. It's very frustrating. Like, even pumpkins alone, you have to water them consistently 3 days in a row to get the maximum amount.
Okay.
And even stuff like that. But then a lot of the Halloween decorations, like there's a Halloween carpet, there's haunt reactions, they're only available Halloween night. Now, I understand the reactions, but I just think it's a bit ridiculous to save decorations for that night, because it's like, you want to decorate your island and your house to prepare.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I'll have them for like a few hours, and then when it's like the 1st of November, I take them down again. Brilliant.
Yeah, and you want to have them up, like, because then you gotta take them down. It's like, well, you know, it's like the people who leave up their Christmas decorations until like February.
Yeah, it's.
That's me, by the way. I leave my Christmas decorations up way too long. Like.
No, I would as well. I would as well. They're just so nice.
Yeah, I love decorating, like putting everything up and everything. It's like my favorite thing to do. But then actually taking it down, I'm like, no, I'll do it tomorrow. And then, you know, it's like 3 months later, and I'm like, yeah, these need to come down.
I think it's easier to get away. It will be easier to get away with that stuff now, because at least over here in the UK, places are going back into lockdown. They've like just started to announce, you know, the levels of like seriousness for different places, and so if no one's visiting your household, I think the only positive I can find from that is that you can keep your Christmas tree up and you won't get judged for it. So that's a positive.
You could just judge yourself silently. It's fine.
Yeah, just.
So
Jingle
the
bells.
levels are going up, because I would like to say that levels are going up again, but they never stopped going up in the States for whatever reason. We're just where I am right now, because I'm in New York. We're not doing so well in New York. It's crazy. We're still open. Like, I went back to work, and it's surreal having to sit with a mask on for like 7 to 8 hours a day and only getting like a 30-minute break to eat lunch, and everyone has their masks off and everyone's like 6 feet apart, and it's like really, really weird.
Yeah, it's like before this year, it would almost be like something that you'd only see in like a film or like
Stephen King novel.
Yeah, some obscure like warped reality, like The Stand, and it's nothing that you'd think would ever happen in like the world. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and it's like just all of like I feel like now it's like instead of saying, "Oh, I like your shirt," you say things like, "Oh, I like your mask." Like I never thought I'd be saying something like that to somebody. Like,
Yeah.
It's weird, and it's like, so yesterday my car battery died, and I was stuck in a parking lot, and everyone's like, "Oh, just ask somebody to jump your car," and I was like, I don't want to go near anybody though, because you don't want to go near anyone, so you have to wait for someone to come get you and stuff, because you just don't know if, especially because like how the symptoms work, like you could be sick and have no idea.
Yeah. And see, it's just shocking.
Everyone's daily life.
Yeah. It's just shocking how many people can be like so kind of complacent with it as well. Like, there's just so many people. Like, I know that we'd gone out for a walk a few days ago, and there was this girl that was it was just a young girl working, and she was telling this person that to be in this queue he had to have a mask on, and it was a young girl about 14 at a summer job, and this guy just started swearing at her, and he was at least 40, and it was like, oh my goodness, like,
yeah,
do you have any idea how much courage it's taken her to tell you that, like, you need to wear a mask? It's just the right thing to do.
Yeah. I think what irritates me the most about the whole thing is, like, people are like, well, I don't want to wear it. Nobody wants to wear it. Like, nobody wants to wear one. Like, we all just want to have, like, a normal life and just... But this is the way things are now, and it's the consideration of other people. Like, I hate wearing it. I hate it so much. I feel like I'm gonna have like a panic attack sometimes, because it's like just, you know what I mean? Like,
it's like restricting your breathing, so then if you do start panicking and that restricts your breathing, it's kind of just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Like, I was walking uphill with it the other day, I had it on, and like by the time I got to the top of the hill, I was like, I felt like I was gonna die, because it was just like, it doesn't make it impossible to breathe, but it definitely does restrict breathing a little bit. And I was like, oh my god, like, this is horrible.
Like, see, my auntie had made masks for everybody in the family, but she had made them with like material, and that was even thicker than like the surgical ones. So it just made it 10 times worse, and it was just like, oh my goodness, I really, really should not have worn this one today. I actually physically can't breathe right now.
And I wore one of those surgical ones, and I can't stand the surgical ones because it itches my face. And I noticed that I'm constantly just touching my face, and I'm like, this is the opposite of what this is supposed to do. So I just do the cloth ones, or I have like the really fancy like N95 ones.
Yes.
But those are so expensive. So I only use those when I go to like a place where it's like super populated. I'm like, okay, time to crack out like the big guns.
Yeah. See, JayBee's parents are like medical, and the N95 ones are the ones that they like tell everybody to wear.
Yeah, they've like bulk bought them, and I think they're kind of helpful for me because obviously I wear glasses, and if I try and wear the surgical ones, I'm like blind for the duration of the time that I've got the mask on. No matter what I do, I just fog them up, and I'm just bumping into things.
Yeah, I like if I have my sunglasses on, because I do a lot of driving, and I have to wear like the N95, because I'll walk out of the car without my sunglasses or whatever, or with my sunglasses on, and I'm like trying to wear the mask, and it's like I can't see anything. I feel bad for people who have to wear glasses all the time and wear them, because it's definitely torture.
No, but I guess kind of moving on to any other topics. Is there anything that you specifically want to talk about on the show before we kind of bring it up to the last topic?
I mean, I can't really think of anything right now, I'm going to be honest.
Okay, so I guess to wrap up with the final topic then, I would recommend that everyone listening to this subscribe to your channel because it's so cool. Like, I love watching those old retro videos because for all I don't know about like retro gaming as such and collecting, it's just so good to learn. It's like every video it brings value because you're learning things. So if like there's anyone listening to this, like how would you describe your channel and I guess what's on the horizons for you in terms of any future video making plans?
Well, I've been literally all I do is like research like prices and retro games and how to get them and everything because I've learned even just this month alone I've learned so many new tricks that I'm totally gonna start using next month to try and get like games and stuff. My biggest thing is my channel is all about passion, obviously, is video games and just getting these games on a budget because I don't have a lot of money, but I really love video games and I've always wanted to have a game room that's just completely like any system you can think of, I have it kind of thing. So it's all about just collecting and pricing and stuff like that. I am planning on starting a new series. Basically, it's going to be diving into prices of particular franchises. I'm actually going to start with Animal Crossing and talking about like the cheapest game for Animal Crossing and why it's that cheap and, you know, the most expensive game for Animal Crossing and why it's so expensive, you know, things like that because you don't really know the prices of certain things. Like some people, like when you go to a yard sale, they'll think that games are completely worthless and it ends up they actually have like a $30 to $40 game. So there's this lack of knowledge when it comes to older games. That's, you know.
I mean, I can definitely agree with that. Like, about 2 years ago, we were cleaning out my parents' attic, and there were some really old game systems in there. And JayBee's still not forgiven me for how cheap I sold them for.
Don't get me started on that. That was the biggest atrocity I've ever seen. I will be weeping about that in 10 years' time. I've forgotten about it until now.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned it. And as well, just on what Harley was saying there, she does have a video going around her games room that we've watched and we love. Like, I mean, not just the games as well. I saw some Funkos in there that was like, okay, I'm getting them ordered now.
My
it was
God,
just so interesting to see.
I have even more. I've gotten more Funkos. Like, I have almost a whole, like, I could have a whole wall of Funkos. I've calmed down a bit, but there was a time where I was getting like a Funko a week.
I love that.
Yeah, and I try not to buy too many of those because I don't take them out of the boxes and then it's just like a bunch of boxes sitting there. But some of those are just so cool. Like I can't. Like, and they have one for everything. They have a Funko. Like they have How I Met Your Mother Funkos. Like,
I mean, I'm still so excited. Like,
yeah,
your Hocus Pocus Funkos that we saw, I still haven't got over that. Like, the top of my Christmas list, hint to JayBee there.
Oh yeah, I got those around this time last year. And I have not seen them in the store since. I actually got them at a Halloween store. They were there, and I had to have them. I love Hocus Pocus. I'm probably gonna watch Hocus Pocus when we're done now.
Oh, it is fun, and oh my gosh, I just love the iconic songs from it. Like Millie forced me to watch it. I think about 2 years ago, maybe even 1 year ago. But I really like it. It shocked me though, because I don't see them making anything like that now. But I love Funko Pops as well. I always try and take them out of the box and fit them into their own little habitat.
We actually have this really funny story about Hocus Pocus. So, like, the first Halloween that JayBee and I were together, we both chose a Halloween movie that we wanted to watch. But I didn't have Hocus Pocus on DVD. So he spent hours and hours trying to find a digital copy of it that I could watch. Because, like, it was quite late and all the stores were shut. And when he found one, I literally spilt my drink. I was that excited that he'd found it.
Dude, you got so excited you like threw up.
No, did I spill my drink on the bed?
Crazy.
You just get too excited sometimes. I respect that.
But no, I spent all that time doing that so we could watch Hocus Pocus. And when it came to my choice in film, you just fell asleep.
Yeah, but yours are awful.
No, they're not.
What was yours? Now I gotta know.
Mine was The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Hey! See, it's so good. Oogie Boogie.
It's my favorite all time. I swear, I'm not even allowed to watch it around my boyfriend because, like, when it's on, it's on. Like, I'm up, I'm dancing, I'm singing, I'm doing the voices. Like, it's bad.
That's exactly me as well. Like, like we even did an island tour that was partially based off The Nightmare Before Christmas,
Yeah,
and we
I
went
saw that.
into the bush, and I just broke out into a rendition of Oogie Boogie's song. Like, it's so contagious. I even want to make a reference to it on the island. Like, when all the seasonal items are released, I want to make that a forest from Nightmare Before Christmas, where if you go behind the Christmas tree, there's going to be snow on the ground, snowmen, like Christmas songs, and there's a Halloween one. Like, it's a dream.
Oh man, oh man, I haven't watched it yet. There was actually a time in my life where I watched it I would watch it like every single day in the month of October. I wish I had that free time now, because I definitely would. I actually did laundry the other day, and I had the whole soundtrack playing, and it was like, I was full out like screaming the lyrics because I love that game I love that movie so much. It's bad. The addiction to that movie is bad.
They've even got Funko Pops of that I found. I haven't found like Jack or Sally, but
I don't own any of those Funko Pops, and I don't understand why. Like, I'm probably gonna order them.
The only ones I found is like the lake monster and the little mummy, like the little children that they've got in Halloween Town. They're the only ones I found. Oh, I want Oogie Boogie though. Oogie Boogie, Jack, Sally, Zero.
Yeah.
If they did a Zero Funko Pop, that would probably be the first one that I'd buy.
One thing that I've always wanted to do is create like a full scale like Jack Skellington, just as like a Halloween decoration.
Oh.
And it would be cool to do, but I'm just like, I never have the time to actually sit and make something like that. I mean, at some point, maybe I will. I don't know why I don't. Now I'm gonna buy Funko Pops. Like, this is how my day's gonna end.
So today's gonna end for you by watching Hocus Pocus, singing Nightmare Before Christmas, and ordering Funkos.
That
sounds like a really good plan.
Millie, it's gonna end for you because you're gonna watch Nightmare Before Christmas. We're gonna live stream it.
Oh my god, it's the best movie ever. You can fight me on that. It's literally the best movie ever made.
It is. But no, I guess, I don't know, thank you so much for being on this podcast again. This has been such a good episode, and I feel like I've learned a lot as well in terms of, collecting and just previous games in general. I think it's been a really good time.
I mean, like I said, I do a lot of research, and I literally just breathe video games, and I wish I had more time to do videos. Since I've been back to work, I went back to work at the end of August. I haven't really had that much time. It's been like just work. Sometimes have time for a video. Like, my weekends are literally my only time that I have free, and I stream on Twitch, so I just don't have time ever.
See, I'm really excited for your concept of going through like Animal Crossing game values and stuff. Like, honestly, I can't wait to see that video. I'm definitely going to put that on. Yeah,
like, that'll be an event, just because you can learn so much from it, and it'd be so curious to know if there's any deviations with systems, or if there's been remasters or ports of things, how that affects things. It just seems like it's such a great series.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's funny because on my GameCube video that I had, I feel like I keep talking about that one, but somebody had commented on it and had suggested that idea to me, and they're like, I would love for you to do that. Like, it seemed like totally a video you would do, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Like, I definitely could do that. It wouldn't take that long, because, it would take a little bit of research, but generally it's like, once you have the prices, just sit there and talk about it, so be super easy to do. But I definitely could see me doing a whole series of like a bunch of different games like that. It'll happen.
So yeah, just to kind of wrap things up, because I think a lot of people will be interested in that. I know that I'm going to be watching it with Millie, like, we're going to be retweeting that. It's going to be awesome. So I guess to anyone listening, like, where can we find you on the internet? Like Twitch, YouTube?
All of my handles are the same one. They're all HarleyQ's Playtime. I think the only one that's different might be my, I think it might be my Twitch is the only one that's different, where it's underscore between the HarleyQ. But yeah, it's all Harley. If you type in HarleyQ on the internet, you're gonna find me. But definitely subscribe to me on YouTube if you like retro games, or if you're into game collecting. I'm all about that. And I stream on Twitch. I generally stream on the weekends. I'm trying to stream during the week, but it hasn't happened. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so thank you to everyone for listening to this episode. Please do subscribe to HarleyQ and check them out on Twitch, because it's just so entertaining, and I'm really excited.
And they're awesome.
It's just it is an amazing channel.
It is.
Like, it genuinely is. Like, I love watching it, and it's so addictive as well.
Aww.
Like, it's
Thanks,
almost
guys. I appreciate
bingeable.
that.
Like, you can go back and like redo marathons. Like, especially with that game room tour as well. Like, you feel like there's always something that you might have missed, always something that you could unpack, and it's just fantastic. So yeah.
And I'm planning on doing another one of those, the game room tour, like an updated one, because I just got a new bookshelf. I have to I'll probably put it together after this while watching Hocus Pocus and buying Funko Pops. I have to put it together because I have no more room on any of my shit. Like, all of my stuff is filled to the brim now because I've just gotten so many good deals. Like, I have so many games now. I don't think I'll ever be able to play all of them, and that's a fantastic thing.
Well, we will definitely be looking forward to that. So, I guess for everyone listening, thank you so much for watching this episode and listening to it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. JayBee and Millie and HarleyQ.